All right, good evening, everyone. Recording has started. I want to welcome both our new and returning participants to tonight's Microsoft 365 Meetup for Government. We definitely have an exciting session tonight, and so want to get right to the content, but just want to make a few announcements first, especially for anyone who may be new to our Meetup group. So our mission here for this community organization is to help drive networking, learning, and professional growth within people working in and around the Microsoft 365 government space. So this may be people who have an interest in government applications of cloud technology or the Microsoft 365 cloud suite. We have a few basic community standards we'd like to call everyone's attention to. A lot of this really comes down to just be professional and considerate to others, but please be mindful of any information that may be that you may share or want to discuss that may be proprietary or non-public. This group is really, again, intended to be a learning and networking opportunity, and so we're all here representing our personal capacities, even for any of us who may work for particular companies, government agencies, or otherwise. I'd like to thank my co-organizers, Andrew Kagan and Andy Oak from Planet Technologies, who are a key part of what makes this community go and function. And Planet Technologies helps, along with Microsoft, sponsor and facilitate these community sessions. Just for anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Nick Giard. I'm one of the organizers for this users group. So feel free to add me on social media. But enough about me. Want to talk just a few logistics for anyone who may be unfamiliar with the Teams meeting client. So we have the meeting moderated just to help control the flow and reduce any hot mics. So if you'd like to, however, we certainly both encourage and want questions, audience participation, and this to be a community discussion. So if you have something you'd like to add or questions to ask, please use the raise hand functionality, the little smiley face with a hand, and raise your hand, and a moderator can unmute you, and then you can ask your question or participate, or feel free to use the meeting chat, which is located under the little chat bubble. If you have any other questions or challenges, just put them in the chat and we'll do our best to assist you during the meeting. So without further ado, I want to introduce our session for tonight, which is a highlights of top 10 new features within Microsoft 365 for government. We have our presenters, Dustin Hodges, Kari, Keyton-White, and Tamara Bredemus from Planet Technologies. And our session tonight is going to be emceed and moderated by our very own Andrew Kagan from Planet Technologies. So Andrew, would you like to kick us off?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much, Nick. And thank you everyone who took the time to attend this session. I think we're all very much excited to learn more about the top 10 new features in M365 for government. We view all the Microsoft Cloud services as evergreen, which means that there are always new features being rolled out, things that make us more productive, more secure. And who are best to tell us about those features than three presenters that we have ready for you today. So without further ado, let's get started, and allow me to introduce Dustin Hodges.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and I'll turn my camera on for everyone to see me. We'll go ahead and get started. So I have three different features that I'm going to show you all today, and I'm going to try to do a live demo, but I have slides as a backup in case technology decides it doesn't want to work while we're on the call. So I'm going to go ahead and share. All right, and everyone should be able to see my screen now.
We see you. You're good.
Perfect. So the first thing that I'm going to show everyone is a newer feature. And again, some of these have been out for a little bit, but it's one that we like to highlight. So I know one challenge that we have, and this is a demo tenant that everyone's looking at. So obviously, in my day-to-day, I have significantly more chats and meeting chats in my chat window here. But something newer that they rolled out recently is a new feature that allows you to actually come in and filter out meeting chats as well as regular chats. So there are plenty of times that I want to go back and look for a specific meeting, With everything commingled, it's kind of hard to go through and see. But just by going up to the three dots at the top, if I click on meetings, it'll get rid of all of my chats, so I can quickly filter and then search for the name or just scroll through my different meetings to see the chat. And to the same note, I can also just look at chats and get all of the meeting chats out of there. So if it's been a meeting heavy day and I'm looking for someone and I don't necessarily want to search, or I can't remember who I needed to talk to, but I know it's somebody I talked to today, it's a great feature to just quickly be able to go through and look for stuff. One of the other features, so that's the first one, that is the info I can send out for you guys on what that is and the actual number for that. That's in the GCC. The three that I have to cover today are all GCC focused, so they're in the GCC and commercial clouds. The next feature, and we'll see if I can get it to pop up, is presenter modes. So I'm going to actually switch into one of them now. And hopefully you all are seeing me sitting in front of my teams now. So this is the standout view. So this is something new that is available for people to be able to leverage when they're doing presentations, and with the world of everybody being remote, having the ability to have some types of different views, to be able to have the person context within the view of the actual content is definitely a big thing. Something else that is newer is the ability to resize the video. So obviously I could go very large, but I'm never going to do that in a presentation. I can make it smaller. And there's also the ability to switch sides. So depending on the content and what you're showing, having those being able to switch between the two is a great feature, so that you're not right in the way of the content. There are two more views we're going to go through. So the next one is side by side. So again, allows me to be in the picture, so you can see me as I'm presenting, while also still having the capability to see the content at the same time. The resizing feature and the ability to switch sides is also available in this view. And the very last view is what we call the reporter view. So it's similar to standout, but obviously there's a little bit of there's a slight difference where it's more over the shoulder, so I can show the weather view and do all of those fun things. And again, the ability to resize my video, which again, I'm not going to go that large, and to be able to change sides, so that if the content that I really want to show you is right over here, if I'm on this side, my head's right in the way, right? So having that flexibility is definitely a great thing. I'm going to go ahead now. I'll switch this side by side too. So the last one that I wanted to show is in Outlook. It's a newer feature, and I'm just going to show you on the web for this. And I have some screenshots if we need to jump to them later as well. But if you go into the settings, you go into calendar settings, the ability to shorten the duration of meetings. So we've all, especially during the pandemic, have had the issue that, at least in person, if I need to run to the restroom or I have to transition between meetings, right? So there's always some kind of built-in lead time. But going that back to back to back on virtual calls, you have the ability now to, by default, anytime you schedule a meeting, you can have the meeting in 5 minutes early. You can have it in or start 5 minutes late. You can default, instead of, if you have a 30-minute meeting, you can set these as well if you want them to be 5 minutes, 8 minutes, whatever they need to be. Anything for an hour or longer can be longer than that. But you can build that in so that the calendar invites themselves automatically offset those times based on what you've set. So it's a great tool to be able to really be cognizant of how you're managing time, to make sure that you're building in that lead time of, hey, I need people to have time to get to the meeting from their last meeting. So definitely a great feature, and definitely a great thing to also not have to manually go in each time and make my meeting, instead of being 60 minutes, to be 45. So wanted to highlight those. Those are, there's not a lot of wow there, but they're definitely useful features. Any questions? I'm trying to look in the
Yeah, we
chat.
do actually. And thank you, by the way, Dustin. This is tremendous. I think that, it seems like maybe such a minor thing, having different views, but I mean, in our new work from home environment, where we spend a lot of time on those calls, I mean, those little things make all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
I think Joseph was asking if these different types of views are available in the desktop app only, or a web app also supports them as well.
No, these are in the desktop application. I haven't tested the web app, actually. I'd have to go back and look. I apologize for that. This is actually in the Microsoft tenant, so it's not GCC. I have tested in the GCC though, and done other demos in GCC using the thick client. I don't know if they're available on the web, but I can validate that for you.
Gonna find out. Thank you.
Yeah.
You guys feel free to pop any additional questions into the chat window. I'll be more than happy to read them out. If you want to, raise your hand, we can take you off mute. You can ask your own questions if you want to. But meanwhile, we're gonna move on. And Kari, do you want to pick up the baton?
Sure. So I'm gonna turn my camera on and say, hey, but I feel like there might be a delay because the whole time Dustin's screen was frozen for me. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen to me. So, but just, hey, I'm Kari Keyton-White, and I think I might have overshot my picks today, but we're gonna go through it as fast as possible and as effectively as possible. So, all right, I'm gonna turn my camera off and I'll go ahead and share my screen. So the first feature that I chose today was Viva Connections. And this is available in GCC on desktop, not on mobile. So Viva Connections is all about keeping everyone engaged and informed. So this is an example of the primary building block of a Viva connection into your organization's intranet site. So think about how important your intranet site is to your organization. It's basically a one-stop shop, and it provides you connection to your organization's news and announcements. It's where you're going to look at your HR benefits. It's everything you need within your organization all in one hub. So the cool thing about Viva Connections is that it integrates that intranet experience into where you communicate and connect every day. So in Microsoft Teams. So if I go over to Teams and I go over to the side rail and I go down to apps here and click on that, and that's going to take me to the App Store. And this is an example of a Viva connection that I created. So what it does, it allows you to take your SharePoint intranet site and create a customized organization branded app that can be pinned to the side rail of your Teams so you can have quick access to your intranet site while you're in Teams. So I'll go ahead and add that in there, and I'm going to pin it to make it stick. And you can also create like a Teams app setup policy that'll go ahead and launch it automatically when users log in. You can have it for certain groups of people. But as you can see, as I'm in Teams, I can go ahead and do chat, I can do Teams, I can do calendar, and then I can quickly swing back around and get back to that intranet site. So even though the intranet site is created in SharePoint, it's hosted in there, but as far as all the users are concerned, it's Teams. So this causes less confusion on where to go and how to access content, allows them to still be able to share links and chat with colleagues, and it just makes switching between all the apps a lot easier. So you don't actually have to go away into a different browser or a different application. You can just stay directly in Teams and stay connected with everyone in your organization. So there are a few things to know about Viva Connections. Viva Connections is a part of M365. It's an added benefit that's there, so it's no extra cost. In GCC, the only way I've seen to execute it right now is through PowerShell. So there's a PowerShell script that has to be downloaded. There's a pair of PNG files for the logo and for the app. And then there's instructions to walk you through it. It's very simple. I can paste it in the chat when I get done. And it's really simple, and it's just a cool way to integrate your intranet site into your Microsoft Teams. So that was the first one. Okay, so I guess I'll wait till the end to ask about questions. That's going to go. Okay. All right. Second is Viva Topics. Now, Viva Topics is pretty cool. So Viva Connections was all about keeping everyone engaged and informed. And Viva Topics is about finding information around your organization, because the pool of information around your organization is growing every day, and the complexity of finding that information is growing with it as well. So think about how many times content is recreated in your organization, or if you're a new employee and you got to get spun up on information, how hard it is to locate all that information. So Viva Topics was designed to help you address the issue that many organizations are facing today, and that's providing information to users when they need it. So I'll go ahead and I'll approach this demo as if I'm a new employee in the network and I need to get spun up on a project that is X1050 that everyone else in my organization is working on. So one of the places that you can access Viva Topics is up here in the Microsoft search. If I go ahead and click on that, that's going to take me to search. And then it's going to bring up an example of a Viva Topics card. So in that card, you're going to have a title, you're going to have a short description, you're going to have people that contributed to it, resources that are available like sites and pages, and any related topics that have been identified by Microsoft Graph and AI. So I'll go ahead and I'll click on that, and that's going to take me to the Topics Center. And this is another area where you can utilize Viva Topics. So in here, you'll see you have this X1050 topic. And you might be asking yourself, what does it take for it to actually become a topic? So a topic is a phrase or a term that is specific or important within your organization, such as project name, events, keywords, a frequently discussed subject, and Microsoft Graph and AI will locate these topics and it's automatically going to compile that information about them and give you a short description. It's going to give you people that contributed to that topic. So if you want to reach out to someone, actually have a human conversation, you already know who you can jump to and talk to. It's going to give you all those suggested files and pages, some suggested sites. And down here in the related topics, these are topics that have been identified by Microsoft Graph and AI. So it's going to be stuff that it discovered as a connection to the topic that we're searching. So right here, you can see that is our actual topic, but branching off of that, it's like a spider web of information of topics that it discovered to be related to it. So you can go ahead and hover over those and it's going to open up those topic cards as well. And you're going to have all that good information in there. So that's just another way that you can maybe expand your community out. Maybe you'll find another team that's also looking at that same information. Maybe you guys can grow together. So that's one way. Another cool way to use topics is in SharePoint. And I think maybe this is the coolest way. And I hope I click on the right one. Yeah. Okay. So I'm in that employee again, and I'm reading through SharePoint and looking in SharePoint. I'm looking. And then right here, you can see underlined and lightly highlighted. If you hover over it, it's going to pull up that topics card. And that topics card is going to have all that good information once again. It's integrated within the SharePoint page. I can find all that information. I can click here and it's going to take me to that topics page once again and give me all that information. There's also another way you can use it in Office apps. So if you're in Office and Word and you're reading through this document, you want to do a Control F. If I push the right button. Okay. You can put in X1050 there. And you can do a search. Now, if you search right here, it's going to look right in the file. But if you do all, then it's going to bring up all the search items. And there's going to be topics right there on the top. And it's going to take you to that topics page as well. Some things to keep in mind about Viva Topics. Viva Topics is an additional license. And everyone who utilizes topics will have to be licensed for it. Whether they're viewing it, whether they're a content contributor, whether they're an administrator for topics, they will have to be licensed for topics. So the difference here is if you weren't licensed for topics and I take that away, this is what you would get. And this would be Microsoft Search. And I've had a lot of people ask me, what's the difference between Microsoft Search and Viva Topics? So Viva Topics builds a knowledge graph, and it's not just a full text search like Microsoft Search. So Viva Topics is going to build out all those contributors and it's going to pull on those related topics. And it's just going to bring that all together. It's going to highlight it in SharePoint. So even though Microsoft Search is useful, it is quite different than Microsoft Search. Let's see, what else? I think that's it for that. Okay, so that's all the different ways. There are some admin settings to use in topics. I don't think we have enough time to go over that today, but that is my second topic. Okay, my last one, which is one that Dustin actually offered up to me because I didn't know what else to do. And he brought this up and my mouse is backwards. Hold on. So in Outlook, I currently have a folder where I email myself all my information, anything that I look on my mobile phone constantly. I'm constantly sending myself links. And in Outlook, I actually have a folder that I created that I named after myself. And I go in there and I can find all the content that, you know, any technical content that I email myself. But there is a feature now. It's not working in GCC yet because I did test it in there, but it is coming. And it's a feature where you can go ahead and chat yourself. So you can go ahead and you can paste in any useful content you're using throughout the day in there. So I was talking to Nelson earlier. And I think there was we'll just act like we'll grab. Let's go up here. I don't want to grab any of that stuff. Ignore all my images. Okay. So we can go here and I can go back there and I can say, okay, I really like that document. And I want to keep it. I can paste it, send it to myself, and it's there forever. So if you're in the middle of chatting and then you want to paste some information in there, you can just go ahead and click down, click up to the top when you pin yourself up there, and that information will always be available for you in Teams as well. So it is actually a lot easier way to locate the information while you're doing your work. And that's what I got.
All right. Thanks so much, Kari. This is actually great, I think, as well. The last feature you showed, I learned something new today. I noticed that I was pinned in my Teams, but I didn't quite know what it was for. Now I do. Very useful feature, by the way. And as far as Viva goes, we're all super excited about all the Viva modules, the ones that are out today and those that are coming later on in the year, including the goals and sales. And at some point in time, all of them gonna slowly but probably surely make their way into GCC, GCC High, and DoD clouds. So we will be able to take full advantage of that in commercial as well as different government clouds. I think we had a couple questions. Yeah.
Okay, really fast because I didn't mention this. Connections is available. Topics is just rolling out in GCC. So even though it'll say it's available on the roadmap, there's only a couple features that are available, and it's just going to keep rolling out until it reaches parity. So everything that I showed in Viva Topics, I would kind of treat as like a taste of the future type thing. You know what I mean? But it is already released and it's rolling out. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, this is awesome. And I think the questions, a couple of questions that we got were kind of continuation of that. People were asking availability of connections in GCC High or DoD clouds. I think Dustin already answered that there is no published timeline, but if you have any different information or anything to add to that, by all means.
For Viva Connections or for Topics?
Connections.
Oh, Connections is available. It is. I've already released it on my demo tenant. I have customers who are launching it. I can put in the chat. This is some
Kari,
instructions.
They were asking for GCC High and DoD.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said GCC. Yeah. My bad. Nope.
Yeah,
not there.
Yeah.
There you go.
Too many clouds.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, no, not there yet. But those are the instructions, and it's through PowerShell. It's relatively easy to do. You just have to follow the instructions, and there it is.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We're
You're
gonna,
welcome.
answer, more questions that they pop up at the end of this, meetup. But meanwhile, I would like to pass it on to Tamara. Could you please close it out for us with your features?
It'd be my pleasure. Thank you, Andrew. So the features that I'm looking at, specifically this first feature, let me go ahead and share my screen with you. There we are. And so for team meeting options, this just rolled out for the DoD, and people have been so excited about this feature coming into play. Now, you may notice that this is a stripped down version of the meeting options that are available in the commercial tenant and GCC and GCC High. Yesterday, we had all of the features that we could choose from in meeting options. Today, it changed for this particular client within the Department of Defense to just these options. But even these make it so much easier to manage a meeting, like who can bypass the lobby. So everybody can bypass the lobby, or people in my organization, trusted organizations and guests, people in my organization and guests, only people in my organization, or only me, which in the Department of Defense would be a very reasonable selection so that you can make sure you know who is coming into your meetings and that you're admitting only the people who should have access to the information that you're going to discuss in the meeting. Then we also have always let callers bypass the lobby, and you can toggle that on or off. What I like to do is I like to have the callers and everybody else wait in the lobby so I know who's coming into the meeting. But then I turn off the announce when callers join or leave, because that interrupts the flow of the meeting and can get very disruptive. But again, that's a choice that you can now make with the team meeting options for the Department of Defense. Then allow meeting chat. You have 3 options available there. You can enable the chat, which means it'll be available before, during, and after the meeting. You can disable the chat, meaning it will not be available at all, even during the meeting, or you can enable it for just while the meeting is in progress. So if you're going to have a meeting and you're not going to be following up on questions that are asked later, perhaps this in-meeting only option is the best for you. Then we move on to the co-organizer meeting role, and this is rolling out for GCC High and worldwide. So it's not quite in, or I'm sorry, not GCC High, but GCC. So it's not in GCC High or DoD yet, but what the co-organizer can do is they can change the meeting options and bypass the lobby. They can also admit people from the lobby and lock the meeting. They can present content and also update another participant's meeting role, so they can change them from attendees to presenters or change them back from presenters to attendees. They also have the option of ending the meeting, which is different than leaving the meeting. Leaving the meeting is still going on. Ending the meeting ends the meeting for everybody. So it's like the difference between having a party in your house and telling everybody you're going to bed, lock the door on your way out. You go to bed, the party continues. Ending the meeting means you chase everybody out of your house and lock the door. So that's some of the key differences there. What it can't do, what the co-organizer cannot do, is download the attendee reports or edit the meeting invitation, or manage the meeting recording, or remove or change the organizer role. So there are some limitations there. I would like to see being able to edit the meeting invitation be an option that the co-organizer could actually do, but that's not on the roadmap yet. So again, the co-organizer meeting role will eventually also allow the co-meeting organizer to set up breakout rooms. They'll have to be put in to the meeting as somebody who can manage the breakout rooms, but that's something that's coming in a little further down the roadmap. Then we have in GCC, disable chat write access for anonymous or unauthenticated users. I call this put your money where your mouth is. So if you're anonymous or unauthenticated, you would not be able to chat. You wouldn't be able to write within the chat. You'd still be able to read the chat. And this is something that the administrators have to turn on or off. So this is a selection made by policy, and you can choose to disable who can write in the chat. Then we also have owners can delete meeting chat messages in the channel meeting. What that means is the channel owners can delete meeting chat messages from within a channel meeting. Now, it has to be a channel meeting. And what they can do is they can go in and delete other people's chats. So let's say you're having a meeting and somebody discusses some information that is not permissible within this level of the tenant. They can actually remove that information so that it's no longer within that meeting chat. And those are the top features that I have for you so far. Andrew, did we have any questions?
Well, we did get a couple. It was mostly about those features being available, like in GCC and higher tenants. I think they already got answered online. Thank you,
Great.
Dustin, for providing those answers. And I'm super excited about features you mentioned as well. I mean, I think it's just like an indication of, how Teams is becoming this collaboration hub more and more, and everything is centered around Teams. So more features are being added, but also more granularity in how you control and secure certain things. So I think this is super excited and definitely is the right direction for government, right? Where security and privacy is basically no joke and needs to be respected and enforced.
Perfect.
All right, I think we went through all 10 features so far, and I'd like to open the floor for any questions you guys might have. I appreciate you asking them along the way, but if you saved some of them towards the end, by all means, and since pretty much us the presenters are done talking, feel free to raise your hand. We can put you off mute, and you can come online, say hi, and ask your question.
Andrew, yeah, it's not so much a question as a comment. A brief background. I come from television news, 24-hour news, and multimedia production into marketing in the IT world. And I just like every aspect of this that brings the production value higher, especially Dustin, a lot of those views that you were coming into, and not just because my news background with reporters and stuff, because I'm much happier over here with you folks in the IT world, truth be told. But Tamara and I work a lot together in her role as an Evolve 365 learning strategist, learning specialist who works with a lot of people. Tamara, if you could talk a little bit about some of the massive audiences that you bring some of this training to within our DoD and some of our top level, in the exact demographic that we're talking about. I think that I have found, and Tamara, I'm sure you'll back me up, and Kari and Dustin as well, is that when the production value gets higher and it's something that's more visually stimulating to look at, it's not like we're staring at the wall or we're all staring at PowerPoints again. And it makes it that much more digestible and that much more entertaining, because we all have been sitting for a very, very long time staring at these screens, and making it a more pleasurable experience is very, very productive. And even in the subconscious, you digest more of the message when it's presented to you in an entertaining way. If all three of you, welcome, open the floor to talk about the production value and how that's been helping the response from, especially Tamara, I know that you, just because we work together, speak with so many large audiences where it's not the one-on-one, it's more of those faceless numbers that are out there.
Right, just did a presentation for 189 people at one of our clients that are part of the Department of Defense. And what we found was that having a mixture of the camera and the material, and not just staying in the PowerPoint presentation, but using live demos and actually calling on people to participate, really made it for a much more interactive experience. So I would strongly recommend that. Even though people in the Department of Defense, in my experience, don't usually turn on their cameras during meetings, as the presenter, I think it's important to have a face that goes with the voice so people can imagine what you're going through, what you're sharing with people.
And that's when those views that I think Dustin showcased today, are super handy. I too, Andy, really like the reporter view as well.
I recently did a presentation using those to a large group of trainers, probably 300 or 400 trainers for a federal organization, and they were very excited to see the ability to actually still have their video up while teaching in a class that was virtual. So it's definitely a helpful thing that just kind of popped out. One of those things that you can easily overlook if you're not paying attention as well.
Indeed.
I think Dustin, it takes the presentation to the next level.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to keep people's focus these days with everything moving, and everything. So if you can actually look at a face and if the production value is up there, it does make a big difference in keeping people's attention and drawing them in.
Hey, Dustin, this is Jerry Smith. How you doing?
Hey, Jerry, how are you?
Good. Hey, I wanted to ask you about what you demoed and views in the context of accessibility, right? I mean, I think that has ramifications for people who are signing and so on too, right? Can you kind of elaborate on that?
Yeah, and that piece is really, unfortunately, the way the view is set up. I know that there is work being done to have better accessibility, to have those videos in place. The view that you were looking at there is only the presenter, whoever is presenting. So if I was signing while we were talking, it would be useful for people, but I can't designate someone else's video in those views to be visible. So I would have to leverage actually like spotlighting a particular person's video and then sharing content to be able to accommodate that. But that there are definitely a lot of things that are coming to help support that from an accessibility perspective. There are a lot of accessibility features in the PowerPoint Live as well. I will say that the views that I showed you unfortunately don't work with PowerPoint Live, so you have to do one or the other. You have to either share your screen or share the application. But there are a ton of new accessibility things out there as well. I can actually send some links out around the Office 365 products and how you can make your presentations and other things more accessible. There's the accessibility checker that's part of PowerPoint that helps drive, and really it'll actually pop up and tell you, hey, there are things that are that there needs to be alt text for images and things like that for that accessibility piece. So it's definitely a huge piece there. At least from the perspective of, I don't know, unfortunately, I don't know sign language, but if I am talking during a presentation, if someone that isn't able to hear can read lips, it does at least give a closer value to being able to have that, as well as, live captions, so that as it's going through, they can turn those on as well. So it's not perfect. There are definitely a lot of strides to improve those things. I saw some presentations last week in Redmond that we were talking about some of the accessibility features, and there's a lot of things that are going in place that hopefully in the fall will be more coming out. But I don't have any hard timelines for those. So
thank you, Dustin. Thank you, Dustin, for elaborating on it. That's great. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's such an important topic, making it more accessible.
One other random bonus I'm going to throw out there, since we're talking about accessibility, and this isn't quite accessibility, but Speaker Coach is coming to Teams meetings soon. I don't know if anybody's used Speaker Coach in PowerPoint, but it is a very cool feature that essentially will give you feedback on your presentation, and there's a lot of information it'll give you back. So that is coming soon to Teams, but if you haven't checked it out, I'll drop in the link for the available PowerPoint piece. So it's kind of a build upon that as an added, your 11th bonus feature for the day.
Definitely check out that Speaker Coach, especially if speaking is not your forte or it's something that drives terror into your heart. And it really gives you valuable feedback in real time. Plus, you get a report at the end. So you can go through your presentation and you can say, oh, well, here I'm saying, maybe I need some additional bullet points in the notes section of my PowerPoint presentation, so I don't default to the ums.
That's a great point and an awesome feature. I absolutely wholeheartedly agree. We actually had some technical folks who are not really in a kind of presentation mode most of their day, and they had some kind of concerns about this, and they use this feature to improve their capabilities and abilities in that regard like tremendously, and they loved it. So and not only that, but making those presentations clear and concise, being able to deliver like within 15-minute time window, for example, right? Sometimes it's you can so easy start talking about something, next thing you know 20 minutes have passed, right? Oh, you've been only allocated 15. So how do you deliver your message? But yeah, this is a great feature. I think we had another question. I think Robbie asked a question. Robbie, if you don't mind, why don't you come off mute and just ask it?
Sure, I actually have two. The first one is, will the Q&A feature, which came to the standard meetings, also be coming to GCC? We have a lot of meetings that we're hosting in Teams Live only for that Q&A feature. And then the second is similar, is would a second webcam be able to be a feature added for Teams Live? That way we can have that dedicated to an ASL interpreter.
So I believe, I don't know the timeline for Q&A, but I do know that they, I believe, are bringing that. Traditionally, most of those features will roll down to GCC pretty soon after. Sometimes there are holdups based on underlying services that aren't available, that if they have to be certified for GCC, sometimes the FedRAMP compliance piece can take a little longer for it to push through. Regarding the second webcam, so that there is work going on around having that second video be available for the American Sign Language for the accessibility piece. I don't have a fixed timeline for when that's going to be, but they are making improvements to that. They're even doing it in regular meetings as well. But I definitely get the need and understand that one of the things you potentially could do in the interim for some meetings would be leveraging external encoders to be able to do that, so you can have a little more, to Andy's point, that traditional control for some of the video pieces. But yeah, Nick, that's great for the feedback piece as well, for any ideas or requests that you all may have. And anyone else.
This is awesome. Yeah, we have an engaging audience today. I think Catherine raised her hand. Maybe she wants to ask a question as well.
Yeah, I'm enjoying this very much. Thank you. I've heard that Microsoft purchased Clipchamp from Stream. Do we know when that will be available? So we can edit Stream videos?
Looks like you have surprised everybody with your question.
I haven't seen that. I mean, I believe there's some edit capabilities now for Stream videos, but
only trimming beginning and end.
Got it.
Clipchamp would allow you to trim middle.
Got it. I'm not aware of that, but
okay,
that is an interesting.
I'll watch for it.
Yeah.
I have to use a third-party tool right now.
Got it.
Thank you.
Yeah, so
Catherine,
that's an interesting thing.
Catherine, do you know you can trim PowerPoint? You can put a streaming video inside of PowerPoint and trim it using PowerPoint video editing tools. In the middle, if that's what you're looking to do. I've done that before. Where you can trim a video using PowerPoint. I don't know if you tried that, Catherine.
But you can't actually trim within Stream, except the beginning and end.
I see what you're asking. Okay. Yeah.
I'm trying to limit who can actually record, and right now Stream limits to 15 minutes. But every time, if they mess up, they have to start over again each time.
I see. Okay.
Thank you. I'll lower my hand.
That's a good point, and yeah, unfortunate limitation for now. But hopefully things will continue to get better. And it's very funny you should ask this question, because we had a need to trim a video in the middle, just the recording of the last meetup that we had. We wanted to remove a part of it, and it took a short while, and we had to resort to third-party tools. All right, any more questions? If not, then Nick, maybe you can close things up for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, would like to thank everybody for attending this evening. And was somebody else have a question there?
No, I was trying to say, I think Microsoft Stream was about to move from the existing platform to SharePoint. So probably that will change some things. Thanks.
Yeah, my people aren't happy about that.
Yeah, well, it's hard to please everybody.
Well, so that's a great call out, though. But definitely, if there are, for our community members, if there are particular topics of interest, certainly please share those, and we can work to try to see if we can make that content for and bring in some SMEs on those topics for future sessions, right? So definitely we really value everybody's participation, that sort of feedback, and definitely hope that everyone will continue to spread the word about this community group. And if you're finding this valuable, as well as if, like I said, if you have ideas or would like to present, use cases or work that you're doing or stuff that you find interesting related to Microsoft 365 technology or applications within government, we'd love to have you as a presenter. So feel free to reach out to the organizers, and we can work to tee something up. So with that, wish everyone a great evening. Huge thanks to our speakers and presenters this evening for taking their time, and hope everyone has a great day. Take care all.
Thank you all.
Thank you.